Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Elisa Sklar. I'm the VP of Marketing with GIS Planning, and today we are going to look at making your EDO website recovery ready. We're going to give you a tour of the online tools you need to kickstart your area economy. We're going to talk about how you can make sure that your website has got everything that it needs so that you are ready for recovery to support your existing businesses, to support your entrepreneurs and startups, and to attract investment and provide all the additional information around economic development for workforce or whatever else you've got going on right now. I know for many of us, our jobs have shifted a little bit during this pandemic. We appreciate you being here. And before I turn this over to Stevie, I just want to say a couple things about how we run our webinars here at GIS Planning. We are going to be taking questions today, so you'll notice that you're muted, but you can ask any questions that you might have in the questions field of the GoToWebinar control panel, which is on the right-hand side of your screen. I'll be keeping an eye on those throughout today's presentation, so make sure you get them in there. The other thing I want to let you know is that we are recording today's session and that I will be sharing a link to that in an email with you, probably either the end of the day today or first thing tomorrow morning. There'll be some additional resources in that email so that you can see that there too, but you can also review the video at your convenience or share it with colleagues and pass it on to anyone if you would like to do so. Now it thrills me to introduce my colleague, Stevie Field-Chavez. She's the VP of Sales here at GIS Planning, and she is going to be walking us through a variety of different tools and talking to us about how to make sure our websites are recovery ready. Hello, Stevie, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing all right. How are you today?
I'm very good.
Good. Okay, I hate to say this. You know how much I hate to say this, but can you see my screen?
I can see your screen. It looks great. We're looking at Focus Central PA.
Very, very good. Okay, we are going to get started. Everyone needs to kind of buckle up and strap in because we are going to go fast through a lot of these tools. I'm going to try not to get chatty because I do tend to get lost in just all of the different little features of the application. We're going to go into the tools that GIS Planning offers with our suite of services, and that's really to show you kind of what's out there and to give you some helpful hints on how some of our clients have done it. But we're also going to spend some time today talking about other things like search engine optimization, different tools that you can use that are from other companies that help make your website a more maybe a lead generation tool to help you kind of really manage who's looking at your community and what they're looking at and how best to respond. So the big trick is going to be switching from live presentation to a PowerPoint. So hang on. We'll have questions in kind of in the middle, and I'll be available afterwards, of course, for questions and emails. So if I miss something or you need to hit something, don't be afraid to email us afterwards. So we're going to tootle around on a handful of sites today. Every site that I'm using is a live site. So we're just praying for you know, good internet connection today and no gardener. We're going to start here on Focus Central PA. And we'll probably toggle a little bit between this one and Georgia Department of Economic Development. There's just things that I just kind of would like to show you, and it's fun to get an idea of what other people have done. When looking at the GIS application, you know, you think, oh, okay, there's a map. I can see we've got properties, but a couple little fun things that you may not know is the ability to not only search by city, county, region. You as a client or potential client can define what these areas look like for you. So if you've got regions, if you're broken up into cooperatives, if you've got MSAs, or however you want to define your geography, you're able to do that. You can sort by featured, last property added, address, city, zip code, name of the property. So there's multiple ways to find the properties that you want. All of the maps are interactive, so you can scroll in, move your map around, and we can also actually draw an area that we want to search. Maybe we're only interested in this highlighted area for a search. Now, I understand that the industry has changed quite a bit in the recent I guess 2 or 3 months with COVID-19. And so we're having to do so much from home, and all of this is going interactive. It's so important to get your website ready so that your users can find the information that they're looking for that's specific about their project or the type of property they need for expansion or relocation. Being able to draw an area on a map like that, because that's the area that I'm interested, really allows me to search for just areas that I'm interested in and not just the areas that you want to show me. Another cool little feature is the ability to measure. So I can measure from any one point to any other point and get that distance. Of course, here we've got a little site in between, so let's kind of get a different area. So that's really helpful if I'm thinking, wow, you know, it's not actually as far as I expected it to be. It looks kind of further on a map, but it's not as far as I want. I could definitely make that commute, or my workforce would make that commute. So always feel free to use that measurement tool. And we also have this pinpoint tool. The pinpoint tool allows you to drop a pin anywhere on the map in our client territory and get all of the demographics and business information and talent information from a user entered radius of that pinpoint. So these little map tools here on the bottom, they're really useful tools to play around with to get information that meets the criteria for your project. Another fun tool that I love is the ability to save properties. So I have my project central PA folder here. So I'm going to save these properties into my folder because they meet my criteria. Those would be perfect for my business. I'm going to look in my save results, and you can see I've got a couple of other properties that I saved from a previous visit. The neat thing about these folders is that I have the ability to share these folders right in our application. I can simply copy this link. Now, I always suggest renaming the link. So no one wants to see a bunch of code. You can rename this link Project Central PA or Project Stevie, whatever you want to, which would be kind of weird actually, but you know, whatever you want to name your folder, copy, rename. You can embed this in an electronic newsletter, on social media, any of the social media networks, in an email. So there's multiple ways to share that link. Once the user gets directly to clicks that link, they're going to go into this page live in your GIS application. So they're going to see what you're seeing right now, not with this box pulled up, but with the map and the properties. I can email directly in the application, and I can also export to proposal, and we're going to take a look at what that looks like here in a little while. So again, when your user hits that link, they're going to go to this page directly into your GIS application. We're going to take a look at one of these property cards real quick and some of the supporting information. So here's a little information about this property. Really important to talk about is one of the things that we're hearing quite a bit right now is virtual site visits. So your GIS application has the ability to do this. You can upload drone imagery, video imagery, multiple photos. You can embed different links into your property card. So the user who's looking at this property is getting tons of valuable information about this available site or building without even setting boots in the ground. So by the time they call you, they really have done some of their due diligence on not only the site, but all the important information around this site. Again, anytime you're going to see the share button quite a bit, I'm going to kind of call attention to that several times. Here's my contact information for my executive director, as well as all of the important property information. For our clients or prospective clients, we can auto-populate some of this information for you. So for example, if you know who your utility is going to be because you have one utility provider for water or sewer or gas, we can auto-populate that information in the property card so that information is uploaded every single time someone looks at a property in your area. We can also include broker information or additional property information. So there's multiple ways to do this property card so it's full and complete and answers multiple questions. Workforce information is provided by MZ. This is 2-digit data here that will provide annual, hourly, and labor information by both occupation and NAICS codes. It's updated 2 times annually. You can see we've got a ton of information here, and we're able to see it not only in report form, but also in heat signature, which we'll take a look at here when we get into some of the other reports. We can also modify this and all of our reports between 0 to 60 miles and 0 to 60 minutes of our site of interest. So that's super important because, again, I'm finding the information that's valuable for my decision on my business. Our demographics information, labor force, and consumer expenditures. This is provided by Applied Geographic Solutions. They're in Thousand Oaks, California. It's updated 2 times annually. The important thing about this information, whether you have a GIS application or not, your PDF documents that are 3 years old are no longer valid. You have got to get your information to be interactive so your site visitor can find information that's important to them in helping them make their decision. So, you know, it's not just about, you know, we're not trying to just sell GIS planning. We're really trying to educate you about what makes a robust and important, informative website. So demographics, labor force, consumer expenditures is Applied Geographic Solutions. It's 2019 as well as projected 2024 information. We have multiple ways to look at this data, which includes graphs. We have heat signature, which will populate our map. And again, we can modify our map scrolling in and out, and the information will rewrite just as quickly as it came in, providing me the data. And I can export this map just like the other reports that we were able to see earlier. So labor force and consumer expenditures looks very similar to demographics, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on it just because the you know, we've got the same information, well, the same kind of data, just different data points. It is all zip +4 data. So we're all the way down to the block group level getting this data for you. So it really, you know, is important data that you can rely on. I think that's what I'm trying to stumble through say. Our wage and salary report is going to bring up our wages by occupation, mean and median hourly, as well as annual wages. We not only have our occupations, but our subcategories in occupations. And again, we have the ability to see this by heat signature. Our business information is very different, and it's one of my favorite reports, and I'll tell you why. Because we're talking about businesses finding information that's important for them and their decision-making process, their due diligence. This report allows you to do just that. This information is provided by Info Group, otherwise known as Info USA. It's updated at this point, it's updated every single month. Although I have heard that we may go to a more frequent update than that because we understand due to COVID-19, business information is changing every day. So I think we're going to go to a more current or a more frequent update than that, and we'll make sure we keep you posted on that. So I can search any business by number of employees, annual revenue, NAICS code, or even clusters. So if you're a client on the call, we can actually create clusters here by NAICS codes. You let us know you want us to include in that cluster and what name you want us to use as that cluster. You can have as many as you want, you just let us know. So for instance, I'm interested in our banking and finance insurance category. I see we have 15 commercial banks. I'm going to click on this banking commercial banks link right here, and I've got 3 miles. You can see we've got several ATMs located. Let's try and go a little bit further so we can capture a little bit more data, and it's going to map out the actual name of the bank, where it's located in my community, to include our ATMs. So that's super helpful if I'm trying to find some of this information. If I'm a bank and I'm looking for potential expansion opportunities, I might want to look in this little section over here in town. They look a little underserved. So that's going to be the benefit, to not only find your suppliers, but your competition of where your businesses are located. And again, this goes 0 to 60 minutes and 0 to 60 miles from any point. So if you pinpoint a location, it will go across city, county, and state line. And I can also, of course, enter my address and get that information there. We also include our talent information, which is going to let you know where our workforce is coming from, by which university or learning institution, and with which degree will our graduates be coming from. Our learning institutions are mapped, and I can see with which by number of graduates, our top universities, and then of course which field of study they're graduating with and with which degree. So we have here Bucknell University. I have 18 bachelor's degrees coming from the National Resources and Conservation. So this is a lot of information. This answers the question of, will I have the workforce needed for my company? So, and I mentioned we were going to move fast. We also provide community data. This is really an overview of a community. So it's an aggregate of all of the information we just looked at. I can search by community, and then once looking at this community, search for available sites or buildings within that community, or I can search for a site or a community based on criteria and then view the details of that community as a whole. So that's a little bit about our community data. One of the things that we've provided you, because we understand it's such a pain point for economic developers, and the reason we know this, because we can see your PDF documents online. Your user should not have to go into your site selection application in order to find information about the community, such as demographics and businesses. But we understand you're trying to do a lot with a little time and probably little resources right now. So what we've done is we've created our intelligence components. Our intelligence components are each of the reports that you just saw inside of the GIS tool that are now provided to our clients so they live outside of the GIS tool. You can embed these anywhere in your website that you like. They're updated multiple times annually, just like in the GIS application. They're in your website. You're getting analytics on this information, and you no longer have to come up with your PDF or your static documents. It's all done for you. We do not take your data down or your website down to update this information. It's updated automatically and pushed out to you, and you can always share this information just like in the GIS application. Now, we have 6 intelligence components. I do want to show you what a couple of our clients have done that's super creative on using some of these. So our mapping intelligence component has been especially helpful in the time of COVID-19. There are multiple ways to use this data from map layers, but also when we're talking about what's going on in a community in different incentive zones, opportunity zones being one, we have taken our mapping intelligence component and turned on the boundary of the city limits, the census tract, and our opportunity zone boundary layer. All of these layers we already have. You don't need to provide us with anything. They simply embedded this into this page in their website that shares all of the information about an opportunity zone, and they even have links that will take the user directly into their GIS application showing sites in an opportunity zone or just buildings in an opportunity zone. That's so useful to the user. So there's multiple ways to get to the same different pieces of information. Whatever you do in your website, I can tell you, and I've been doing this for 20 years, starting in economic development as a client of GIS planning, as a matter of fact. But now, of course, being on this side, I have a 2-click rule. I want to find everything I want to find in 2 clicks or less. So as many times as you can get your user, your website user, into your interactive reports so they can find the information that's important to them, and as few clicks as you can do that, the better. I'd like to highlight Conway, South Carolina. Conway, South Carolina did a really great job. Same mapping intelligence component. What we did here is we turned on our business map. So we're able to see where our manufacturers are within the city of Conway. You can see I can click on it so it has the interactivity. I've got them highlighted here. I can also look at professional services, tourism, retail. This is great to show that I've got different industry clusters in my community, and for you to be able to identify not only who they are, but where they are. This is all part of the service that we provide. We have this data on hand and it's available for our clients. Now, You've got all of the interactive data, and that's awesome. But what do we do with it when we've got an interested prospect or a lead that we're working with, especially now when so many of us are working from home? We don't have the printers, we don't have the 3D binders and all of the great setups to put these giant proposals together. We now have our proposal generation system that's even better and easier to use than ever. It's fully customized because you customize it. You build a proposal for every project that you want or for every industry that you serve. You can have a template that you use each time. You can recreate them every single time you send it. You use your photos, your color choices, your contact information. And remember that little button on the front of the application where it said export to proposals? If I export to my proposal and my proposal is the same name as my folder, I can upload those properties with one click. They map automatically, so you don't have to do anything. I've customized my little tabs here, so I can say, why should I choose my state or community? Video, drone imagery, even additional documents can all be included in this proposal system. We will teach you how to build this, so you don't need to stumble through it. It's very, very easy. You can have as many tabs as you like here. You can include additional attachments, documents, and you can even use these tabs in future proposals. But maybe I don't want all of the tabs, just a couple of them. I get to choose, I get to build it each time. You copy this link, and again, we rename the link when we send it to our site selector as project. We'll call this Project Brown. Dear Mr. or Mrs. Site Selector, please consider this proposal for an opportunity to relocate to our community. I've called this Project Brown. When this is clicked on, your end user is going to get this live and interactive proposal that they can just view and look at the properties. If I click on the details of my properties, I can view the photos, the full report, all of the information is here. Download into a PDF, search by various counties or cities, depending upon how I've structured my proposal. And the really great thing is, if you decide, oh my goodness, I forgot a property or I misspelled a word, you do not need to send a new link. You simply fix the error on your side. As long as they have this link, they will be able to access the most current proposal system that you've created. So here's another example of another proposal. You can see we've got some of our who we are, meet our teams, we've got links, we've got properties, we've got additional documents, different colors, just to give you a little bit of an idea of what you can do with this document. In the admin system of the back end, everyone in your team can have access to the admin. If you're a multi-regional community, each of your communities can access that admin and can also create proposals. You can also do a call for properties. So you can email your broker community or your communities and say, hey, project, we'll use this one here, Project Brown is looking for 3,500 to 15,000 square feet of commercial space. If you have something you'd want to submit it by this date. You can put all of the stats and the figures in there, and they can submit the properties through the application admin system, which you can use to then build your proposal. I know that's a lot. We provide training on the proposal system all by itself, so don't feel like you have to just learn that and absorb that right there. We'll teach you how to build it. We'll teach you how to do an active need or an RFP for properties, so this process can be automated. It's a big deal because I know when the mail comes, I always wonder, I'm disinfecting my groceries. Am I supposed to be disinfecting my mail? This makes the process all automated, and that's what's about right now. It's getting your website ready and being able to do all of our normal business function just in an interactive and automated world. So this is going to take me to our next offering. All of our clients already have this. City of Columbia, this is where I live in South Carolina. I'm so proud of our economic development department. They've done such a great job. I know many of you have our resources page for COVID-19, and they've also brought in the site selection application, which we kind of were viewing earlier, not theirs, but a version of. But they've also done a great job with what we call ZoomBusiness. This is our most recent product launch. It is only 3 weeks old. We have 60 ZoomBusiness applications through the US. The number is actually so big when you think that this has only been going for about 3 weeks now, and there's over 11,000 businesses throughout the US listed. Every single day, we've got a couple more coming in of clients adding theirs. If you're a client of GIS planning, this is already in your admin system. You already have access to it. The beauty of ZoomBusiness is the ability to find an open business based on the same kind of criteria that we would typically look. City, region, I'm looking for an open business. Do I want an open restaurant? So I'm going to click open restaurants. So it's only going to provide me with the open restaurants here in Columbia, South Carolina, that I can go visit. The business uploads their own information. You as the economic developer do not have to manage all of the business information. The business simply goes to the add business information, which is going to take them to a spreadsheet of, a form of information where they can enter their business name, their email. Once this email is entered and their information is uploaded, they're going to get an email at that address, which will create their account. That allows them to go into the system and make any edits and changes, which is super important because probably like your communities, we've got places in South Carolina or places in the South that are opening while others are still slow to open. So we have modified hours. So this just allows the business to change the information as the rules are changing. So I've got my information for my business email, address. Our little map here is also interactive. This is useful if you've got maybe a retail, kind of a retail center here, and I'm located in the middle of that retail center. I'm going to put that here in the middle of my block. I also have a contact name if I want to list a contact name. Active means I'm open, and I can choose what kind of business I am, what kind of subcategory I am. We are adding to these every single day. Hotels was just added, farm products was just added. So if you see categories that need to be added, please let us know. Description, this is for your businesses to say masks required. We are only at 50% capacity. We must have a reservation. Senior hours, 10% discount if you mention ZoomBusiness. They can write whatever they want in that description category. They can even include video and photo. Is there a gift card program? Do we provide delivery? And do we have a GoFundMe maybe for our servers here at the restaurant? A great example of ZoomBusiness is Fayette County, Georgia, and they actually have uploaded photos onto all of their business listings. And just like we saw in ZoomProspector, we have the ability to save into our folders and then access our folders. You can see I've got visits from, that was probably a week ago. I can access this folder and I can share this online on social media, in an electronic newsletter. So I can let you know, hey, these businesses are open, or these businesses just opened. In the back end of the system for clients, you simply activate their account or approve their account and they can upload all of their business information. That's all you have to do. If you have a spreadsheet of businesses that you're gathering in your community, I know many of you are keeping track of your businesses, you can upload your spreadsheet of business information into the system. We have a template for that, so we'll help you with this. This can be licensed individually if you are not a client on the other tools. So you don't have to have the other tools, you can only have ZoomBusiness, but if you have the other tools, ZoomBusiness comes with it. So we've really tried to empower you to create awareness for your open opportunities or your open businesses in your community. All right, I'm also going to share a little bit about our website. We have COVID-19 information and resources, and this includes free, do not need to be a client, downloadable graphs and charts on COVID-19 information, which includes map layers and community data in terms of numbers, And if you want more information on ZoomBusiness or any of our other pieces of information products or webinars that we've done, it's all here. It's a pretty dynamic site. So with that, I'm going to switch gears right now, and bear with me as I go into our PowerPoint, and I'm going to, from current slide, display settings, I had to do this swap presenter view. There we go. Elisa, can you see that? Okay.
Yep, that's perfect.
Okay, so we're gonna kind of zip through some other important things for your website. These are not based on GIS planning. These are just important things to think about as you're working with your website and getting your website ready. So let's talk a little bit about search engine optimization. I'm not going to spend a lot of time with this because this could be a complete webinar all by itself. And honestly, I'm not an SEO expert. So, but search engine optimization, or SEO, is the process of getting traffic from free, organic, and natural search results on search engines. It's not a paid search ad. So I really love this photo because it really communicates what you can do. And you know, you can do everything right, but if you don't have proper SEO, no one's going to find you. You know, it's going to be really hard to get people to visit your website online. All right, so here we're going to talk about organic SEO is about 5.6 times better than paid search ads. Video content. So if you were to put video content on your website, it's about 50 times more likely to drive organic search results than plain text. And I thought that was really interesting information. Using videos on your landing pages will help increase conversions by 86%. Content marketing, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit, gets about 3 times more leads than paid search advertising. And to check your website's SEO, check out this free grading tool. I'm going to give you all a second so you can write this down, website.grader.com, and it'll kind of run through your website a little bit and let you know how you're doing. It's like a rating system. It's pretty cool. I kind of checked it out. So let's talk about a couple of other little tips here. Identify keywords that bring you clicks. You can see that in your analytics. Your Google Analytics should tell you a little bit about what people are Googling and how they've gotten to you. Snippets. Snippets are showing imagery or image, not just words. And then check out your meta descriptions. Meta descriptions are about 155 to 160 character summary of each page using keywords. So for example, you're registering your meta descriptions and you're going to use sites and buildings. You're going to list all of the names of your community. You're going to list all of the services you provide. It all helps with that search engine optimization. On our GIS planning, the ZoomProspector Enterprise Site Selection application, at the very bottom of all of the properties, we list all of the communities that are part of that community that we're serving, and that's all part of our search engine optimization plan. So here's a couple resources on search engine optimization that will help guide you. Some may be creating your own website and building your own website. And so these are really important links that will help kind of answer the question about what is search engine optimization, how you can do it at home, and what, you know, what's important and how to find that information and build that into your website. There are always companies, and we're happy to provide you references of companies in our economic development profession that build websites. We get nothing for that. We just, you know, have worked with several companies over the years, so we're always happy to provide those references. So, Drift. I don't know, and I would love to see a show of hands how many have heard of or worked with Drift. Drift is let me see how to describe it. So it's an online platform that, well, when a website visitor comes to your website, Drift is the little button, the little bot thing that pops up that asks them, you know, hey, can I answer any questions for you? So it allows us as GIS planning to talk to website visitors if they have any questions. If you click on looking for information or I have a question, one of us in sales is then engaged and can have a conversation with you. Some of the information that I thought was super important is When businesses follow up with online leads in under 5 minutes, those leads are 9 times more likely to convert into customers. And I totally believe that. We have had sales as a result of conversations we've had on Drift and being able to answer those questions for that prospect or that client right away. 63% of consumers who ask for information about your business or your product, and in this case, your community, aren't going to make a purchase for at least 3 months. But it takes, I know, a lot longer in an economic development project, but if you can answer those questions right away, they're certainly more apt to remember you and your community. Drift allows real-time communication with those on your website, which is what I was trying to capture earlier, but somewhat stumbled through that. So it's real time. I get a little ping. I've had these conversations actually on my phone in the grocery store with people who are on our website who are looking for more information. Prospects and customer prefer live chat to email or telephone. It's instant. I'm right away getting the information that I'm interested in. There's no barriers. I don't have to wait for someone to contact me. So it really just gives me that real-time information that I need. So this is a little bit of an example of what Drift looks like. You can see different users that we've had or visitors, and you can see a little bit of a trace of the conversation that we're able to answer questions for that client right away. So HubSpot, I'm going to share a little bit about some of our slides on HubSpot and let Elisa talk a little bit more about it because I think it's more important. She works with this on more of a regular, so we'll kind of let her overview it. But just to kind of highlight this slide, for example, marketers who send emails on Tuesdays used to get the highest open rates. Now everybody sends them on Tuesdays, so open rates have gone way down. Wednesday and Thursday mornings may be a better day. If you use an inbound marketing platform like HubSpot, or there's a couple of others, you'd know that because it's going to analyze your opens on your list and tell you the best time to send for that specific list. So here we've got just some stats and some figures. 15% of marketers say they don't regularly review email opens and clicks. 23% have integrated website and email to track their marketing journey. And so, you know, I thought that this was kind of interesting. Arts, entertainment, but more specifically, government and real estate have the highest email open and click-through rates. And I thought that was really interesting. Elisa, do you have anything to add on HubSpot?
Well, basically what I would say about HubSpot is that it takes all of the separate platforms that you're currently using for your blog, for your landing page, for your email campaign, for your marketing database, for RSVP to events, webinars, all of the things that maybe you're doing, training workshops, whatever they are, and it puts them into one place where everything is easy to access and everything is tracked. So you can see the site selectors that have come in, you can see how many times they've been to your website, if they have signed up or attended or filled in a form or placed a call. And it really just makes things very easy because all that information is streamlined. It makes it that much easier for people to put together coherent, effective marketing campaigns. And I know that many economic developers are one-person shops, or maybe you've only got one marketing person. Maybe there's not even a designated marketing person. And I know in many economic development organizations, you wear lots of different hats. So you might be the, you know, director or in charge of business development, but you're also handling the marketing functions. It just makes it easy to do a lot, far more streamlined way, a lot less time, far more effective. Your social media channels are all run through there. So I have to say that it's really transformed our practice within GIS planning. And I know that there are actually companies out there that specialize in HubSpot for economic development. There's a fellow named Tom Wengler who works with Octo UX, who's very, very good at this to help people understand specifically how to do that. So even integrating ZoomProspector, for example, something that you could do via HubSpot to help add properties and streamline that. So if you're interested, I'm happy to pass along more information, but I do think it's been transformative.
Thank you so much. That's so helpful. HubSpot, I don't work with on the everyday. That's Elisa is our director of marketing, but I have to tell you, she has absolutely streamlined our process here at GIS Planning and has made us so much more effective in that all of the things talk to each other and it keeps track of, and they're great lead generation tools. So like what I'm going to talk to you right now about lead forensics is a great lead generation tool and lead management tool. And so we'll go into that. So let me kind of go back. So lead forensics, this actually tracks the code. There's like a code pasted in the back end of your website, much like Google Analytics. So visitor IPs are tracked and matched to company data. It does not identify the person being tracked, just the company. So that's important to know. So you would see that GIS planning is on your website, but not Stevie with GIS planning was on your website. So that's kind of an important differentiation. But what's important, because we provide lead gen ID for our GIS planning application. So our site selection application and our intelligence components all have lead gen ID part of that. So if you're working with a company and you have, you've understood that this company may be looking at your community and they've done and you can see that they've actually done a search on your website, you can actually see what property they searched, what type of property they were searching for, the size range of property they were searching for, and the actual properties and or intelligence components that they looked at. That's a huge piece of marketing intel. In fact, we provide you with 3 sets of analytics. You get Google Analytics, which are super important because they talk about the page that people came in on your website and the page they left. If people are leaving on the same page every single time, I would stir the pot and zhuzh up that page just a little bit. I'd also pay attention to how long people are on your website. We provide you with ZoomProspector analytics, which are analytics that we created, which will let you know your top searched community or this top type of property that people are searching for. That intelligence is super important because you can see where your hot spots are, the areas that are getting a lot of traffic. You can also see what type of property people are searching for most. And if you don't have that type of inventory in your area, I would take those analytics and I would go over and meet with the developer and let them know, hey, this might be a good time to start considering some type of spec building in your community, because these are the analytics that show this is the type of property that people are looking at it, and you don't have that type of inventory available. So that's just a little bit how to use those. I'm going to show you a little bit of an example of what lead forensics could look like. So this is a client of ours. You can see I've got a company location, contact details, how many visits they made. The neat thing about this is you can highlight this. I can highlight this as a client. I can highlight them as do not call or competitor or hot prospect. I can assign it to someone on my team. So if I want to assign it to someone who works for this particular industry, I can assign it to them. And you can also add it to a lead manager. So you as the director or you as the boss can keep track of how these leads are being handled. Now, I'm going to say all this with a little bit of a caveat. I do not recommend, once you have and you've confirmed that you've got a visitor on your website, that you email them right away and say, I see you are on my website. It creeps people out. Everybody knows where all kind of our clicks are being tracked, but nobody wants to really hear it. So I would give it a couple of weeks, do your research on the company, and then when you email them, it's a perfect time to use our proposal generation system and put a proposal together of maybe properties that would be a good fit, and then create those tabs of why your community would be a good fit. What about your community would work for this company that's going to make them want to look twice? You already know they're interested in your area. Now you really got to kind of set that hook and let them know why they should continue to be interested in your area. So this is kind of what that front page looks like. And then you can see the bottom, you can see, they were interested, they came to our website, it originated from Google, they went to our products page, they were looking at our ZoomProspector.com. This will record searches for every visit they make. I can I can query information by date of visit, by most visits, by least visits. So there's multiple ways to use lead forensics. It's really just been a great useful tool for us. So I know we've talked a lot about, you know, the different tools GIS planning offers. We've talked about Drift and HubSpot and lead forensics. And what does this all lead to? It all leads to it's time to get your website ready. We've been off for, you know, a lot of us home and working from home with all of the challenges and blessings that that has had for the past 2.5 months now, and it is time, if you haven't done so already, to get your website ready. So I'm going to breeze through this with lightning speed, just because there's a couple of tips in here that I think you should know. This isn't a GIS planning cell, believe it or not. It really is just talking about helping you implement different tools for your website so that your website is ready, and you can use multiple ways to do this. So we're going to talk about accurate and updated data. We kind of talked about that a little bit during the GIS application tour. So make sure that your business decision makers and your website visitors can find data that is interactive, that is up to date, no more PDFs, still static and old PDFs. Make sure whatever data you have on your website is sourced. It's so important that they know the year, the month preferably, and the data source of that information. Otherwise, it's no good. You could be telling me anything. So accurate, updated, and sourced data. So for those, you know, if you're in business development and you're talking about recruiting industry, and this was really more for business developers of construction and, you know, your architect and engineering kind of industries. No one wants to see projects from 9 years ago. People want to see more current information. So please make sure that whatever photos that you have online, they're more current. It's not what your community used to look like, but it's what your community looks like now. So I think that's really an important tip. Also, make sure your data is customizable. So they want to see the information that's important to their business. I want to see how many international companies are within 40 miles in an area that I'm trying to maybe expand from. And so having that data on my website actually gives me the information that I need to help me make my decision. So here's actually one of our clients and a site selector talking about the most useful components of an economic development website is current and well-maintained sites and building database. In the event that the database can be coupled with additional data, workforce, business environment, infrastructure, it provides a leg up on the competition, especially for projects that don't have a consultant. So, and we've got a couple of these, I won't read them all. Make sure your data is robust. So you want to make sure that all typical types of data is on your website. Demographics, business information, industry data, and did I mention current data? That current data is so important. If you have an opportunity zone, I want to know about it. If you've got you know, if I want to see how many engineers are within a 10-mile radius of a particular site or building that I'm looking at, I want to be able to find this information and know who my suppliers are and who my competitors are. That information is robust. So here's Grace Swope, President and CEO of Vision First Advisors. Data is your community's first impression. It's all at your fingertips and can be viewed by all. It's critical for the economic development professional to understand the story the data is telling. It's the missing chapters you have to write to be successful. And this is so important because we write the stories, we help share the stories. How about that? We help share and tell the stories of our community. And so we want to make sure that we can say why our community is the right place for this business to expand or relocate. Especially now, there are suitable sites and buildings everywhere, but why should I consider using your community? And another little tip, there's a 900% increase in searches that contain blank near me tonight or today over the last couple of years. So when you're telling a story of your community, I would put, these are things to do in my community. That takes care of the blank near me today or tonight, whether it's concerts or different venues. And if you're sharing stories about your community, share stories of you doing these things in your community, whether it's visiting your local pub or fishing, or for those here in the South, it's heritage. This is us doing things in our community, which makes this real. It tells a story, and it makes it much more personal. So I would just encourage you to be personal. Mark Williams, having quality building and site product available and highlighting these assets on the EDO's website is the most productive activity an economic developer can undertake. So we talked about interactive and dynamic. Interactive is key. You can see this little squiggly thing drawing our line here on our map and getting our data. Old school PDFs, y'all, just isn't cutting it. Make sure your information goes all the way down into the weeds. So granular data is detailed data. So if you are a state, show community data. If you're a region, show not only your data, but provide options for looking at the counties, cities, and town data that make up your region and make it easy to find. Go all the way down to the micro level. If possible, the closer, the better. Okay, so now we're gonna kind of get into some of our little bonus things. Visual, a picture speaks 1,000 words. We looked at some of our charts and graphs. This, for me, doesn't mean anything. I don't even know what I'm looking at. I've already glazed over, so I don't know what this report is trying to tell me. I wanna see something interesting. Show me data that looks different, that grasps me, that's interesting to look at, that's more visual. So it's just other ways to look at data. So here we have just one of our other ways where we can see this is in heat signature. So it's just showing me another way to look at the same data that used to be in a report form. Elisa can testify to this because I know she and Pao, our graphic designer, work very, very hard on making sure our information is clear and easy to read and interesting. Infographics are liked and shared on social media 3 times more than any other content. Again, it's using data to tell a story, but it's making the story interesting to read. If you give me a report form, I'm going to glaze over and I'm going to probably click through it. If you give me something like this, I'm going to see what these pictures are telling me. It allows me to read it quickly and summarize what I'm supposed to be learning. All right, we talked about this a little bit in the earlier presentation. Make sure your data is easy to share. Easily exported in variety of formats. If I want to put it in a PDF, I have that option. If I want to print it out, I've got that option. I can share it and say, hey, you were looking at this site or building. Here's a little information about who your competitors are or who your suppliers are around this potential site, this opportunity or this site or building. So make sure your information is easily shared. And then we talked about analytics. Make sure you use your analytics. They can tell you which pages they look at, where they're coming from. Does this tie in to an event? I know trade shows, conferences, and promotions seem like a long time ago. When or as we all start to kind of get back into it, you're going to want your website to tell you a story of what's working. And so this will help you with that. Have you done an email campaign and have you seen more traffic as a result of that? There's additional ways to see if this ties into an event. If you're promoting on a social media network, has your website seen additional traffic from that? There are multiple ways to track without actually having to go to a conference. Does it tie in with any RFPs that you've received? What country are they from? If you're spending your money and you're marketing in California, but you have a whole lot of website traffic coming from Tennessee or Alabama, that's where I might focus some of my marketing dollars. So your analytics will tell you a story of where to focus your time and your energy and what people are interested in. So use those to fill in those gaps. And whatever you do, make sure that your website is fully optimized for mobile. I don't know about you, my fingers aren't very big, but they sure feel like it when I'm on a website that isn't optimized for my phone and I can't find the search button or the submit button or the next page button, and I've got to search all over and make the site bigger or smaller to get that. So make sure it's fully optimized for mobile. All of GIS planning products and applications, tools are optimized fully for mobile. If the vendor tells you that, I'd get on a mobile website and I'd check it out. So much of today's website traffic is happening from a mobile and a smartphone. We've all been looking at our phones even just during this webinar. So it's time to get your mobile website ready just as much as it's time to get your actual website ready. And make sure your information is easy to find. This is just one of those little bonus pieces, you know, the where's Waldo? I'm older, so this resonates with me a little bit, but 2 clicks or less to find data, 2 clicks or less to find business information. I want to see where your manufacturing clusters are. Give it to me in 2 clicks or less. Every page could talk to your other pages, so they connect in that way. Bonus number, I say 12 here, contact information. Y'all, if I have anything to say about what we do in economic development, I don't want to have somebody send me an info@abccommunity.com. I can't even tell you how many times I've submitted emails to something like that and I've never heard from the person. I'm reluctant to even send it because my faith in them getting it is so low. I don't want to necessarily fill out a form for more information unless there's a click so I can talk to someone right away. I want your email address and I want your cell phone because I want to talk to you directly, especially if you have a project. If I have a project, I'm not going to send something to abccommunity.com info at. I want to talk to you, the director, or you, the VP of business, you know, development, or that particular industry. And a photo of you is always helpful. I love to see that I've met you before, that I've seen you before, and so a photo of you is really just one of those great ways to just make it a little bit more personal. So Elisa, I'm going to just kind of stop there. I know that was a huge old mouthful. Do we have any questions?
We do have some questions that have come in, and I just want to remind everyone that you can add your own questions. I know there was a lot of stuff covered there. You can put them into the questions field in the GoToWebinar control panel on the right-hand side of your screen. We're happy to get to those. Caitlin wants to know, when you say directly into your GIS application, do you mean on the website, not the one on the desktop of the computer? Now, Caitlin, I know you asked that question at the beginning of the session, so if I'm misunderstanding the question, feel free to put that on there, but I believe this was related to adding properties, Stevie.
Okay, so can you repeat the question? So when you share the link, if I'm understanding, when you share the link, it will take the user into the GIS application on the page where you shared that link. So I'm going to escape out of this, bring up my, here we go. And so if I share my link, it's going to take my user into this page, into your website. So they're going to see what you're seeing right now without this little box pulled up. You think that, did that answer that question? Yeah. Okay.
I think so. I mean, Caitlin, you'll correct us if we misunderstand that, but I do think that is what we were looking at. And I think that's really one of the, she confirms, yes, that's what we were looking for. That's
okay,
really one of the power here. And of course, we could do that with ZoomBusiness too. So you could generate a link to any of the different businesses. So you could look at their contact cards. I think the ability to bring people back to your website is so critical. Very often I see economic developers or chambers sharing images or sharing PDFs or things online without bringing them back to the website. And that is, the call to action is really about bringing them back. You want them to come back and do more searching or learn more directly within the tool. And if you're using static PDFs or things that aren't actually connected to the website, then you're squandering opportunities to bring people back into there. So that really is one of the critical powers here. Similar with the proposal generator that you were showing, Stevie, the ability to have a live proposal is so critical, because a new property can come on the market and you can add it and, you know, turn around and quickly add it so that even if you've submitted the proposal already, so that they can actually always rely on the fact that that is a live and current listing of opportunities for them.
Absolutely. I've sent proposals myself where I thought, oh my gosh, did I misspell this word? And you can't get it back. Once it's in the mail, it's gone. So this really just takes care of the ability, you know, to correct any mistake or to add additional information, to update additional information without having to resend a whole new document. And with virtual, with everything going virtual right now, site selectors prefer this method. I have talked to them myself and they prefer this method. It's automated, it's clean, it doesn't mess up their desk, and they don't have piles and piles and piles of RFPs for all the projects they're working on. It's automated, they can research it all the time or anytime they want, and they can even send it directly to the client themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I really do think that's absolutely critical. So someone wanted to know if it would be possible to schedule a demo. If you're interested in speaking directly with Stevie or one of our sales team to get a demo of any of these tools, you will have that contact information in the follow-up email, which you'll be getting tomorrow. So feel free to do that. You can also reach Stevie at the contact information here on the screen, sfield@gisplanning.com. Feel free to reach out. Of course, you can always go to our website and click on contact us. We're happy to do that. It's important to note that our pricing generally is indexed to population so that we can make our tools affordable and accessible, whether you're a very small town, and we have many very small towns, or you're a large metro area or a state or province. Those things are all possible as well. Because we're part of the Financial Times, we do work with clients all over the world. We have clients across Europe and Mexico, the UK. We've got many clients in Canada as well. So we're happy to schedule that time to review what your needs and how we can best serve them. Stevie, is there anything else that you would like? Oh, we do have another question actually that's just come in. Can custom layers be added to maps, such as utility, infrastructure, power territories?
Yes, we can add as many map layers as you like, and those map layers will work not only in the GIS application, but they will work, we can add them to ZoomBusiness. So, and they'll even work if you have like a custom site, something like this, and you want to add a page with one of your mapping intelligence components. All of those layers will cross-reference onto all of those three different things. So they'll show up on all of those tools.
Excellent.
We provide you with a handful of them already, but we do have a lot of communities that want to add our own. And I know we're going over, so I'm going to try and get this in real quick. But if you are part of a region or a state, or you're a community on your own, if there's another client that we have in your area that your area is part of, we can program it so all of these systems talk to each other. You don't have to enter your information. The state of Georgia is a great example. You don't have to enter your information into the state system and then your own system, and then we service Duke Energy, we service ECG Georgia, we service the state of Georgia as well as Georgia EMC. You don't have to update your properties in every single one of those applications if you're one of the communities there. You will program it so the applications talk to each other. Only the properties, for example, Georgia likes the grad certified. You can see they've got this really great icon on each property. So anything that's not grad certified in terms of properties will be filtered out of their application, but still show up in your application. So we make it a very easy process for getting your properties in multiple locations with that one point of entry.
Excellent. Stevie, thank you. I know this takes us to the end of our time here. We are available to answer any additional questions you might have. You will have our contact information. I encourage you to reach out to Stevie. I'm also just going to put up, let's see if I've got that up here as well. So you've got our contact information. I work individually with all of our clients to help them with the marketing and promotion of their tools. So if you have any questions about that, that is part of what I do here as well.
And I think you have Jeff's information as well, correct? Yeah,
yep.
You've got Jeff's citizen. So if you are a client and you want ZoomBusiness or you want to activate ZoomBusiness, email Jeff at support@gisplanning.com. It's already in the back end of your system. There's a little tab in the back end that says COVID-19. There's some interactive graphs and charts that you can embed in your website. You also have ZoomBusiness, and it will have instructions there of setting it up. You can import business lists, or you can share it with your business community. You can email Jeff if you have any questions. And then Elisa's always great because she's always got great ideas for marketing and press releases and how to get your businesses more engaged. If you are not a client but need more information, of course, my information is available to you. We can set up a meeting like this and do even a deeper dive, and I can hear you and I can answer your questions, and you know, just make sure that this fits into something that your community is doing for the future need of your website.
Excellent. That's wonderful. Thank you, Stevie, for your tour of all these tools and your review of the different things that people might want to look at to get their EDO websites up and ready for recovery during COVID-19. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy days. You will hear back from us in a follow-up email. Appreciate that. Thank you for the work you are doing for your communities to keep them vibrant and robust, especially during these challenging times. Have a very pleasant day. Stay safe and be well. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.